The Lounge, proudly brought to you by Johnny Walker. Keep walking.
Good evening, welcome to The Lounge. My name is Sakyi-Addo, and The Lounge is brought to you by Johnny Walker. Keep walking, and is broadcast from the Equator Bar at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel in Accra. Tonight, my guest is the acclaimed Ghanaian Beverly Hills plastic surgeon, Dr. Michael K. Obeng. He insists that you say the K. He reshapes the contours of the rich and famous in California and restores symmetry to their body where the storms of life have taken their toll. Of course, operating successfully within earshot of Hollywood means the tail doesn't stop ringing. But Dr. Obeng isn't content with just receiving checks from clients with Bel Air addresses. And Bel Air is even fancier than Beverly Hills. Once every year, he leads a team of doctors to Ghana and Asia to provide free surgery to people who need, as against want, plastic surgery, but who cannot afford his Beverly Hills rates. Under his Restore charity organization, he's just completed yet another mission to Ghana, where several dozen people have had their bodies repaired and reshaped and their hope for living normal lives restored. Dr. Michael K. Obeng joins me for drinks tonight. What would you ask him? Welcome to the lounge.
Thank you, Kwaku. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Michael. It's my honor. So, how did Kumasi go? Was it only Kumasi or other places in the Ashanti region?
So our mission this year was very successful. This was our biggest mission ever since I started doing this in 2008. We had over 20 volunteers, to be precise, 22 volunteers, and we restored about 67 patients.
So you came with a team of 22 doctors?
Doctors, nurses, and support staff.
Right.
About 8 doctors in total, the nurses, surgical techs, and then logistics staff to make the operation as smooth as possible.
62 patients?
67.
67?
67.
What kind of, what did they present? What?
Most of the patients we saw had burns. So they have burn scar contractures, limiting the joint's mobility. And all it takes is about an hour, 2 hours of surgery to restore mobility back to the patient. We also saw big tumors. These are tumors that you would not have the privilege to see in the United States or any developed world because of the fact that there are availability of plastic surgeons or surgeons who have been trained to tackle that type of tumors. We also saw a lot of women with breast cancer, very early, very young women with late stage presentation of breast cancer.
Really?
And that breaks your heart to live in a country as rich as Ghana. Ghana is not a poor country anymore, and access to health should not be as very difficult. To see a country as Ghana, to have a 29-year-old woman not being able to get care because the pathology report took 4 months, knowing that this person was coming to you for a second opinion for breast cancer. You shouldn't wait for more than a week to get a pathology report. It doesn't take a day to prepare slides, and also about 30 minutes or less to review the slides. So when you see some of these things, you get angry. The volunteers get angry, but you have to calm them down and explain to them how the system works. But I think we are at the point that breast cancer should not be, any woman should not die of breast cancer. Breast cancer, there's a cure for it. If it's presented early, it can be managed early, and the patient can be treated in a possible manner to prevent any death.
So did you have to amputate?
So yeah, we did some mastectomies, remove breast,
which is where you
remove breast tissue, and then we also reconstructed breast, using abdominal tissue, like a tummy tuck. You harvest the skin and fat, and some of the muscle, the rectus muscle, and instead of throwing the skin and fat away, like a tummy tuck, you just use it to mold into a breast, reshape it, pass it through a tunnel, through the skin, underneath the skin, to come to where the breast used to be, to make a new breast. But those are some of the cases that we did. Yeah, we did about 2 or 3 of those, and mostly burns, no cleft lip or palate, some hernia surgeries, some removal of tumors, And that was pretty much about it. Yeah.
And the tumors, how complicated were they?
Those are big tumors, of course. When you see a
Which
tumor,
part of the body?
Mostly in the trunk, meaning the between the clavicle, the neck, and the waist. So that's considered the trunk. And most of the tumors were in the back. I took a huge tumor of somebody's arm. A lot of time when you see big tumors like that, most clinicians would start thinking this is sarcoma, which is a bad cancer. But when you talk to a patient, it's all about history, taking a history from the patient. When you talk to a patient, asking patient questions, we saw a patient who has had a tumor in his back for almost 4 years. But this person is happy-go-lucky. I don't think it's cancer. He's not in pain. He hasn't lost any weight. So these are some of the things that would tell you don't need a fancy CAT scan or MRI to get imaging to see what it is. And also, it's in a part of the body that you're not really going to get into anything measured that you cannot, any good surgeon cannot manage. So we saw a couple of those cases. Of course, if the person was in the U.S. just to cover my behind, I would probably get an MRI. But also, it's in a position where I can cut it off without the person suffering any consequence. And if I go to this tumor, if it's a malignant tumor, at least we still got rid of the tumor. If the next phase will be chemotherapy or radiation, then so be it. But at least the person doesn't have to live with a tumor. This person was so gracious. And some of his, I think his story is posted on our Facebook. Yeah.
Which were the most complicated, cases that you saw?
The most complicated, so it's all about, nothing is complicated. When you get to where I've been, I've seen it all. Nothing was complicated. Of course, we had some challenging situations. There was a kid, and I'll mention his name, Samuel. Samuel has a beautiful kid, beautiful boy, and he's got cancer all over his scalp, invading invading to his brain. And the cancer has eaten parts of the bone, of the calvarium bone. So now the only thing that's separating, you can see the dura mater, which is the outer covering of the brain. So it's just a matter of...
The brain is essentially exposed.
Yeah, the brain is exposed. And unfortunately, we couldn't help this person because of the fact that we knew it was cancer. So we got biopsy. We took him to the operating room, cleaned the wounds, protect the dura, and then took biopsy.
The what?
The dura mater. The dura is the outer covering of the brain. Mm-hmm. It's a thick membrane, very thick sheath that covers the brain. So we did all
protects that, keeps that. Yeah. So it sits between the brain and the scalp.
The bone. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it protects the brain. So once you take out the bone, the next layer is that thick layer. Mm-hmm. So we cleaned everything, and we took biopsies, and it came back as squamous cell, which was not a surprise because
it came back as what?
Squamous cell carcinoma, which is skin cancer.
Skin cancer.
Yeah, skin cancer. So there are 3 types of skin cancer. You have squamous cell, basal cell, and melanoma. Melanoma is the worst of them, and melanoma usually affects white people. But when melanoma affects black people, it's also the worst case scenario. It starts at places that you can't see. So melanoma is very deadly, but when it comes to skin cancer like squamous cell and basal, they are very slow growing. So they shouldn't kill a person. But this guy, because of the fact that nobody attended to him, and I'm not blaming the system, I'm blaming himself and his family. That when it first started, if they had taken biopsies, that area could have been just removed and reconstruction done. So now the whole scalp, I think 3/4 of the scalp has to be removed. The question is, the tumor board down in Kumasi, ACATH, has to talk about it to see if there's anything.
That's a Komfanochi teaching hospital.
Yeah, the teaching hospital. But that's one of those things. And of course, politics also sets in sometimes. So even though I thought we could help the person, at the same time, we also have reservations because of the fact that if you get into the brain, you might not have the proper staff to take care of. So he's on my list. He's on the list of people that we'll see if we can help him in the United States. And if that's a possibility, we'll arrange for him to be transferred.
Wow.
Thank you.
So this must have been heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking for a lot of the volunteers. They took his personal number that they are keeping in touch. Yesterday, the volunteer, one of them, sent me a screenshot of their messages between him and the little boy's brother. Well, skin cancer should not kill anybody. So the healthcare system has to change in the sense that we need to educate the population, the general public, about their health, and let the general public take an active interest in seeking help. Because a doctor, I don't care how good a doctor is or a surgeon is, they can help you when you have gone past a certain stage. So I think, I always talk about people like yourself who has a platform like this, that we should bring more awareness to health, because a lot of people don't care about their health. They care more about life after death, funerals. When somebody died, they show up in droves with gifts, bearing gifts. These are some of the things that, if all these resources are here, why don't we use these resources to educate, to save lives, not to celebrate lives.
Not to celebrate death.
No, not to celebrate death. Yeah, thanks for correcting me. We love the dead too much. We love the dead sometimes more than the living. And I think this is an attitude that we need to change as a country, as a society. And until we educate, until we keep talking about it and harping upon it, we can't change. I remember last year I was on TV and I told them that if every radio station or TV station, in the process of getting an application to operate, the government should require 1 hour for public education about health. Okay? If every radio station did their part, every week talk about high blood pressure, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, skin cancer. We are black people, yes, we have melanin to protect us, but at the same time, we're also prone to skin cancer. The question is, because we don't pay attention to it when it comes, it presents at a very late stage, and it makes it very impossible to operate on those or to take care of those tumors. So I think health education needs to be a priority.
The radio and television stations, to be fair to them, they do a lot of health programs, except, and there's the second part, the question is, are they talking to the right people? Because, some of them are talking to quacks, some are talking to, essentially quacks, to spiritualists, with selling all kinds of concoctions and snake oils, and making prescriptions that you as a properly trained medical doctor wouldn't make. And they're fooling people and making money out of them and killing them. So time is spent talking about health, but are they speaking to the right doctors, or the right people?
So I think these are some of the issues that we can talk about, because if they dedicated, let's say, an hour a week to a healthcare program, that can be reviewed by the medical board, or somebody in the Ministry of Health.
Properly certified.
Yeah, exactly. I know I hate sanctions, but, freedom of speech. But when this is public service education, and you don't want to get the wrong education to, of course, people can sponsor it. These people can sponsor it, but the content of it should not be changed because an herbalist is sponsoring talk on high blood pressure or heart disease. It's okay, take their money, but at the same time say, we're going to say brought to you by this. We're not going to promote you, we're not going to endorse you. Right. But we're just going to stay with the content that we've prepared that has been approved by the ministry. And I thought we talked, because these days, Africans are not dying of infectious diseases or communicable diseases anymore. The same diseases that are killing the Westerners are killing them because of the permeation of the Western culture into our societies. I'm walking down Accra, they have pinkberry, okay, nothing but sugar. KFC, nothing but fried. When we were growing up in Ghana, we didn't have access to all this. So now, this newer generation, even though not men my age, I have about 6 of my classmates dead in the last 5 years, on sudden death. And no 40-year-old should be dying unless it's a car accident. Even a car accident, they shouldn't die if we have a very good healthcare system, unless they die, on impact. So all these things, can be changed. Can be changed. I think if we focus our resources on it, we can get a better job.
And then the other point is that, of course, people do care about their health, except once again, they're going to the wrong people, they're going to the wrong places to seek help, because perhaps the queues where they ought to go are too long and they cannot afford the service. Doctors are too few. And so they take a shortcut, go see the spiritualist, who sells them a bottle of regular tap water.
Yeah. Call it holy water.
Yeah, claims to be holy water, and that this will kill deal with the cancer.
That's the thing. The same spiritualists and prophets. These are the same people. When they are sick, they go to the doctor. But when you are sick, they encourage you to come to see them first. Of course, by the time they play with you, and of course, God is good. I believe in God. Without God, I would not be sitting here today. And you and I are personal friends, and you know how much I idolize God. Because without God, none of us would be here. Okay, but at the same time, God has given us the knowledge, the know-how to cure diseases, to save people's lives. And, that's the truth. So if we can get the education out there that when people are sick, make sure you go see a doctor. Of course, there is a problem with shortage of doctors in Ghana. Now, I just heard these statistics that there are more doctors in New York.
Because you've gone away to Hollywood.
But see, it's different. There are two types of doctors in America. The ones who went to medical school here, trained here, qualified in Ghana, and they left because the pace, the job satisfaction is not there. And it's not just about money. Doctors go through a lot to get to where they are. And I know in Ghana, when I was a kid, doctors were revered. I wanted to be a doctor because of Dr. Asafo J, who lived in my neighborhood. I went to an idea about it. And I saw in Kumasi, and I saw the type of respect that he had. He drove a nice Mercedes, and I wanted to be a doctor. And then when I was 15, I saw Operation Smile. That's a different story.
You saw what?
Operation Smile. Do surgery. And that's how I got interested in surgery around 15. But
which is Operation Smile is sort of like a charity.
There's a charity.
Yeah,
they've been around for a long time. They do free surgery for cleft lip and palate.
Right.
But going back to what I'm saying, I mean, you know that. So God is good. God has given us the knowledge to do this. So we have to encourage people that when you are sick, go see a doctor. But of course, there are a shortage of doctors in Ghana. There are more doctors in New York State than in the whole entire country of 27 million. The question that we have to raise is how do we keep our doctors in Ghana? Okay, they're very important.
So I mean, a couple of quick questions. One, did you do any cleft procedure?
No, not on this procedure. I mean, not on this trip. But we've done, because of the fact, the doctors here, the plastic surgeons here, and the ENT, ear, nose, and throat, they are okay. They know how to do cleft lip and palate.
There's a Ghana Cleft Foundation.
Actually, I think you're on the board.
I do some work.
So so this year we did not do any cleft, but every year we might get one cleft patient. But our goal is not just to impose our will on people. Before we come, we always ask them, what areas you guys want to focus on? And mostly for the last 5 years, it's been about breast, and it's been about burns. Because burns, there's so many burn victims, and it's because of the way we don't have safe practices when our women and our wives and mothers are cooking. We went to Ashtown, my old house, and people were amazed. There's a kitchen in the middle of the whole compound house. You know how they are in Ashtown. And the kids are running around. The next thing you know, the kid falls down, boom, they're in the fire. So these are some of the things. So we focus more on burns and also breast. But yes, we need more doctors in Ghana. And the question is, how do we get the doctors who are trained here, who left, to come back here? That's a very big question. If we can answer that question.
What would bring you back home?
That's a tough question. I come more often.
It's not of course, to be fair to you, you come here.
I come here every year.
And do
but it's not. What would bring me back home? I'm happy home. But for somebody like me, after you live this country for over 25 years, I've spent more time in the United States than in Ghana. I was here till about 19, 20, and for the last quarter century of my life, I spent in America. Of course, I have kids and I have family, and maybe one day, but. It's not even about money. It's hoping to make a difference and not having to come across so much red tape. So it doesn't take much for me to come. I mean, I can do most of some of the things I do, but still living in Beverly Hills. I can still come to Ghana once a month and work if that was what it takes.
And of course, increasingly with technology and the ability
and we do have that. We have telemedicine. Yeah, we have telemedicine. And I was telling somebody, I did my first telemedicine in 2001, before telemedicine even became a word. I took care of a patient in Iceland. in Antarctica. Okay, got frostbite. Antarctica, yeah. They called me, I was on call. They got frostbites, and at the time I was in Texas. The conference came into the video conference room. The nurses came and got me. I talked to the patient. I gave the doctors recommendations, and they were able to do it. But telemedicine is very possible. It's a possibility in our near future. The question is, our infrastructure is not good enough. So even though we can have a good telemedicine setup, if the infrastructure is not good and the equipment and supplies are not there, it's not going to work. If a patient,
that's going to change.
If
There's
a patient shows up,
infrastructure, investment, and
not too long ago, one of my friends was shot. He was from London visiting. He came, he has a construction company. He told me that armed robbers came to his house. This is back in 4 months ago. He was taken to 37. He told me there's no oxygen. And this is the third time I've heard that story. 3 years ago, a friend of mine's mom died at 37 because they have flew from San Francisco. Then the mom started having difficulty breathing. They took her to 37. By the time he hopped around 5 different places trying to find oxygen, he came back and his mother-in-law was dead. And he said, I'm not coming back to this country. So these are some of the things. And I don't know why these have called for. Of course, I haven't had a chance to tour every hospital in Ghana. I know very well about CAF, and they have a lot of deficiencies. Kolobu maybe a little bit, but I think we need to start focusing a little bit more on healthcare. We put too much emphasis on sports.
You're watching The Lounge. We're taking a quick break. My guest is Dr. Michael K. Obeng. Back in a minute. Welcome back. My guest is Dr. Michael K. Obeng. Went to Prempeh College, grew up in Kumasi, now world acclaimed, famous plastic surgeon based in Beverly Hills, in Ghana now to get free surgery under his charity organization, Restore. He's my guest. Let's take a moment and toast to authentic whiskey. Let's toast to Johnnie Walker, the original taste of whiskey. Since 1820, Johnnie Walker has remained the world's #1 Scotch whiskey and has won numerous awards for excellence. This because the impeccable formula of distillation has been jealously guarded over the ages, thus its distinctive taste. Johnnie Walker comes from an intricate blend of a wide spectrum of carefully selected flavors, giving it that unique taste savored by millions all over the world. So let's toast to the unquestionable taste of whiskey. Johnnie Walker, the whiskey the world knows best. Johnnie Walker, keep walking. Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years and pregnant women. I've got a couple of comments from Twitter. Justin Addo, who maybe was your mate or your definitely a schoolmate or went to the same school. You went to Pokuwari.
Prempeh College.
You went to Prempeh College. Okay, so this is another amount for well done, Senior Obeng, as the Prempeh boys call each other. Abena Yale says, all I want to know is if he practices in Accra, because he and I must have a very much needed conversation. So I think we've got a client, or is that what you call client or patient? Or you've got a patient right there. Abena Yale. All right, so Abena Yale would like to have a chat with you. Michael Otieje, who's a sports journalist, says, and this is, I guess, it's personal, says, many years down the line, you still do unique interviews, the range of subjects, just wow. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we did force. And I like to mix it up so that there's a surprise every week. And when there are fantastic people like Michael to talk to, then it's great to bring them and their perspectives on life to share with everyone. What kind of cases would you normally do in a week or a month in Beverly Hills?
So in Beverly Hills, my goal, this is my goal. My goal is to do 7 cases a week.
How many cases a week?
7 cases a week. So in a month, if every month I consistently did 28 cases a month, I'll be a rich man. I always tell my office, my patient coordinator, that to break even, we have to do 4 surgeries a week. So we consistently meet those expectations. But my goal, if I did 7 every week, I'm a happy person. And it's been a great year. God has been good to me. God has been good to my practice and my family.
Okay. So are these people who come to you because they want or they need reshaping, rebuild?
The question is, they come to me because they have a personal need. It's a need or it's a want, however you want to describe it. And me being a plastic surgeon.
You don't make the judgment call.
No. People ask me, what do you think I need? it's a different question. Being a plastic surgeon, every time you go to a party, anytime you're in a social setting, people always walk up to you. What do you think about my face? What do you think about my nose? What do you think about my breast? Or, you know, people are willing to take their shirt off and show you their breast. But when people come to me, now I have a questionnaire. They go through the questionnaire, they look at the questionnaire, and then I come back and I kind of go over the questionnaire just to make sure that they meant what they checked. And basically, you ask you what brought you here, you know, breast enhancement, body enhancement, and then we go into detail. So somebody will show up, and for me to take on a client, they have to have what I call realistic expectation. You know, you cannot make chicken salad or chicken shit. My old boss used to say that. To make chicken salad, the person has to have chicken. So when somebody comes in and says,
say that again.
When, you know, my old boss, Jim Stuzen, Dr. Stuzen in Miami, used to tell me that you cannot make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You have to have chicken, and a lot of people don't have chicken. If you have chicken, we can make you chicken salad. Meaning that when a person comes in and says, I want to look like Beyonce, if you don't look like Beyonce right now, there's no amount of surgery that's going to make you look like Beyonce, nor Kim Kardashian. Okay, so people come and say, yeah, we're going to make you look the best of you. So you mean if we are reshaping your nose, yeah, we make you a nose that fits your face. When people bring photographs of, you know, other people, other celebrities to me, I say, have you ever heard of something called Photoshop? So, you know, these days social media has corrupted so many people, and they come with so many unrealistic expectations, and I have to make sure that they have realistic goals. And if they have realistic goals and I can deliver, then I take you on as a patient.
Okay. So would it be commonly?
So right now the hardest procedure, which has been like 5 years in a row, is butts. People are infatuated with big butts, and I don't know how the word Brazilian became affiliated with it. You know, they call it Brazilian butt lift, BBL.
It's actually.
You know, I've never been to Brazil, but I don't know what the Brazilian women I know in the U.S., they don't have big butts. But so I told them, I said, you know what, we're going to make an African butt. African butts are bigger than Brazilian butts. So, but that's the most common. That's when we have big butt. But yeah, the number one requested procedure right now, you know, the number one procedure has increased like 250% in the last 10 years is butts. Butt lift, you know, butt augmentation. And basically, we take fat from the patient, shape the hip body, and then we take the fat, prepare the fat to increase the stem cell potential of the fat, and then inject it into the butt to shape the butt. And then, of course, breast augmentation, and then yeah. So that's what I do.
Nose and lip jobs.
No, I don't do a lot of noses. I do a lot of what we'll call ethnic noses. You know, meaning a lot of black people, Asians. Because their noses are more difficult to reshape because
Asians have small noses.
Small noses, so you have to build
it. Sled nostrils.
Yeah, so
and Africans have
the same thing, similar noses but bigger than Asians, and then you have to, you know, make it smaller, put a bridge, and yeah. So I do a lot of ethnic noses, and but I do a nose, maybe 2 noses a month, but I do a Brazilian butt lift almost every week. Every week I do a butt. Every week, so I do at least 4 butts. I think one day I did 3 butts. And I almost had a shoulder separation. I think the week before I came, I removed about 20 pounds of fat by sucking it out on about 4 or 5 patients. You know, very big people. You know, so it's a lot of work. But yeah, butts are the number one, then breast, and then of course your liposuction and tummy tucks. You know, and still women are still the number one gender when it comes to plastic surgery. About 90% women, 10% men. What men are doing are getting liposuction to look. You know, to still fit into their business suits, Botox here and there, fillers to look young, because, you know, these days for people to do business with you, you have to look good. When you don't look good, people don't want to do business with you. And it's a sad world we live in, but that keeps us in business. You know.
Have you had clients who are sort of hermaphrodites, people who want to, with all these transsexual, transgender, people, are you having to do that?
So I know it's funny how you say hermaphrodite. So no hermaphrodites exist in the United States anymore. You know, meaning because when they are born, the parents will make a decision to switch the sex at an early age. So nobody grows up with the two, they're both penis and vagina. But yeah, there are people walking around. Those are they're transsexuals. You know, so these are transsexuals. And mainly these are the ones I've seen in my practice are men wanting to be women. And I can show photographs of them. You go crazy. You say, "This is a man." You know, they look so beautiful. They look so beautiful. Some of them still retain their penises, and some will go through the whole operation, remove their penis, and have a vaginal reconstruction.
So, but the point is, they are born like that.
Yeah, they are not. They are born men.
Right.
They're born women, and they are switching over to the opposite sex.
Yes, but what I mean is that, yes, as you say, they're beautiful, but they do have a male, male genital.
No, so basically, so these people will start off as, they will start taking hormones, to live as the opposite sex, to change, to go through the changes. You have to spend 1 year living as the opposite sex. Let's say you want to be a woman, you go see a psychologist. They say, okay, I will see you every month, and then you live as a woman. So you change your name to a woman and see how you feel. Once you get to the point where you're comfortable, then they will start giving you hormones. So you go through a hormonal process where you take a lot of estrogen and also another medications, mainly spironolactone, to block your testosterone. Well, of course, it doesn't come easy. It also causes liver problems. So what these people are doing, they will go through the changes. The first operation a lot of these women will have, breast. So they will have breast now. These men becoming women, they will have their breast now. And if I show you some breasts right now, you'll be amazed. And then if they don't look like a woman already, because the estrogen also makes you kind of have a body habits of a female. They get a little hips here and there, and then their face will start changing, their voice will start changing. So for those whose voice doesn't change, we can also go in here to the voice box and change it a little bit. We also feminize the face by shaping down the bones. Most men have very prominent jaws and cheeks and eyebrows. So we go in and we raise the forehead down. We go in, we shave it down to look like a woman. And then, some liposuction here, transfer to the butt. And then what I've been doing a lot lately is removing the, basic castration. So I remove the testicles so they don't have testosterone production anymore. Then that prevents, so they don't have to take the other medication that has adverse effects on the liver. And most of these people are happy. And one time I asked one of my patients, why don't you let me take your penis out and make your vagina? He said, no, that would decrease my value. So whatever that meant, I didn't even want to go any further into this discussion. But
so he would rather keep his male genital
look like a woman because, most of these people, I don't know what they do, but they prefer to have a male genitalia as well. But they don't have any testicles, so they have an empty sac. And actually, we can even put artificial testes into the scrotum to make it feel like they still have their testicles. So that's what we've been doing a lot for these patients.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. My guest, Michael K. Obeng, plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. I've got a few questions here. Jerry John Boating Affair. He said, he says he went to the best school, Prempeh College. These are messages coming in via Twitter.
It's like Ghana Jollof versus Nigeria Jollof.
I know, right? Eugenia Kwamila says, I like the point he made about loving or celebrating the dead so much more than the living. King Goraso says he's a senior. He attended the best college on earth. A super awesome.
I know him. He lives in London. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Hi, King Goraso. Michael says to say hi. George Cantref, if I pronounce your name right, says a revealing discussion. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Jenny from Legon says, please ask the doctor the side effects. I'd love to enlarge my breasts. Just hold that question, your response to that for a second. Does he work on men too? Enlargement. This is from Dennis Kwarting in Dansuman. And Kweku Ntrasako says, great interview, love the line. Thanks, Kweku, thanks for tuning in. So, side effects, says she would love to enlarge her breasts. So this is from Jenny.
So Jenny, this is a very simple, very easy question. If you just need a simple breast augmentation, it takes 45 minutes. There are no side effects. When you say side effects, the silicone is not going to implode in your body and travels everywhere. These days, we are on the 5th generation silicone, meaning that it's been cohesively bound. That even if I cut the implant in two and squeeze it out, the gel will not come out. It's not bound. It's not well bound. So yeah, there are no side effects. But unfortunately, if you don't massage your breast, or if you don't follow your doctor's instructions, you can get hardening of the breast. It's called capsular contracture, which is the number one complication, long-term complication after breast implant, and it can cause pain over time. But this is about 1 out of 5 people, and if you follow instruction, hopefully you will not get that. And I've seen people have their implants for over 30 years without any complication.
But sometimes we do see complications. We do
course,
see people with horrible stories.
But you know, these people did not go to the right person. Okay, breast augmentation is so routine that you should not want, you know, of course, I've known people who've had collapsed lungs after undergoing breast augmentation. You know, any surgeon who causes a collapsed lung, in my opinion, is not a good surgeon, okay? To get a collapsed lungs in breast augmentation, you have to go past through the ribs. Okay, the membrane between the ribs and pocket. Accidentally, there's no way, unless you're not paying attention, to get a complication like that. But of course, the usual complication of every surgery, infection, scarring, you know, bleeding, oh yeah, those can happen. But in the proper hands, like me, every time I do a breast augmentation, I see the patient within 24 hours. So that if there's a bleeding, I can stop the bleeding. And usually, you know, knock on wood, these are less than 1%. It happens 1 out of 100 times. You know, and if there's a complication, it can be rectified right away.
Do you tell your patients sometimes, no, this is not a good idea, I don't think you should do it, no matter what their
of course, depends. I just turned a Nigerian lady. Apparently her husband is one of the wealthiest men in Nigeria. And a man. No, Nigerian lady. Her husband is one of the wealthiest men. And she was flying in from Nigeria to have surgery. And I reviewed her history. I realized that she has a history of blood clots. She's had a heart attack before, all these things. And, you know, she's in a very different category of patients. Even though she's young, her health is not good enough to undergo through anesthesia, because she can also die on the table during anesthesia. And so yeah, we do turn some patients down, but not all the time. If they're healthy and I can deliver what they're asking for, I will go ahead and do surgery. You know, money, it's not even about money. You know, we turn down money on them because I'd rather go home and sleep better at night, knowing that I have a patient who is in dire need of something that might, you know, that might hurt her. You know.
And Dennis Quartin was asking about enlargement.
Yes, we do we do penile implants. So it's also a very simple procedure. So basically, you know, there are 2 ways I can make the penis bigger. You know, if somebody has a long penis and they want more girth, we can take fat, mold the fat, and inject the fat into the penis. And we can go from something like this to something like this, you know, in terms of the diameter of the penis. But if they want something longer, we have to put a silicone prosthesis. So you make a very tiny incision, create a pocket, and then boom, 30 minutes, you're done. So yeah, we can make men bigger, and we can also do penile reductions as well. If your penis is too big and too long, we can make it shorter. And those are some of the things that we do.
You're watching The Lounge. We're taking a quick break. My guest is Dr. Michael K. Obeng. Back in a minute. Welcome back. My guest is Dr. Michael K. Obeng. Went to Prempeh College, grew up in Kumasi, now world acclaimed, famous plastic surgeon based in Beverly Hills. In Ghana now to give free surgery under his charity organization, Restore. He's my guest. Let's take a moment and toast to authentic whiskey. Let's toast to Johnnie Walker, the original taste of whiskey. Since 1820, Johnnie Walker has remained the world's #1 Scotch whiskey and has won numerous awards for excellence. This because the impeccable formula of distillation has been jealously guarded over the ages, thus its distinctive taste. Johnnie Walker comes from an intricate blend of a wide spectrum of carefully selected flavors, giving it that unique taste savored by millions all over the world. So let's toast to the unquestionable taste of whiskey. Johnnie Walker, the whiskey the world knows best. Johnnie Walker, keep walking. Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years and pregnant women. So, Michael, a few months ago, you sent me these pictures of one of your patients. I guess you remember her,
Oh, yes,
right?
I remember her. She's a German socialite. She's a socialite in Germany. And she's very famous for being famous, like the Kim Kardashian. She's like the Kim Kardashian of Germany. So
she looks like Barbie.
yeah, she's a Barbie. She's a living Barbie. So last year, one of the doctors on the Restore trip, Dr. Attila, who also came this year, after the trip, emailed me and said, hey, I have a patient who wants her ribs removed, but we don't do that in Germany. And I can't think of anybody better than you to do it, which is true because there are less than 10, 20 plastic surgeons in the whole U.S. who does. There are 6,000 plastic surgeons in the United States. So I said, yeah, send me the patient, and the patient came. And, in a 6-hour surgery, we removed her ribs, put some more fat.
How many ribs did you remove?
2 on each side, 4 ribs. And now she claims to have one of the tiniest waists in the world, and you can see her bust size. So she tells me.
So you did breast enhancement as well?
Yeah, I didn't do the breast. Somebody had done it. She tells me she has an African booty now. Yeah, but very beautiful lady. And she talks about her surgery in public all the time.
Is that her husband?
No, that's Oscar. That's my assistant.
Ah.
Yeah, he just left Ghana on 2 days ago.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's right. Her name is Sophia Vegas. She's also a renowned DJ in Germany.
Sophia Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, she just moved to LA. She just moved to Los Angeles. But very, very dynamic young lady. Very pleasant. And she wants to come to Ghana too. She wanted to volunteer on this trip. Okay. We had too many people, so I said, next time we come, you get first right of refusal.
And I got a question also about the penile enhancement.
Oh, okay.
Somebody wants to know if the sensitivity is altered or not.
No, it's not. But one of the things about
surgery. Is it altered?
It's not altered.
It's not altered.
Yeah, but one of the things about surgery, that's something that can happen. And I tell people, like even women, I say, if you are so like a breast reduction, I said, if you are so concerned about losing sensitivity, then this is not an operation for, because I'm not God. I'll follow the protocol. I'll follow it, but I don't know where your nerves are coming from. Even though we know where most of the nerves, the anatomy of a person is not just for everybody. There are some anomalies. So if you happen to be an anomaly, I never studied you in school, and we get into a problem, your sensation can be a problem. But most of the time, no. The sensation doesn't change.
Are there particular procedures you love to do?
I love to, the procedures I love to do are for free. I don't know, it brings me so much joy, I always tell my friends that I'm going to retire by 50, I don't want to work for money anymore. So I can do what I really love to do, to take care of the poor. But this particular time, for somebody to ask you, what's your favorite procedure? My next procedure, because I need to have food on the table. But that was a joke I heard from one of my bosses when I first moved to LA.
Your favorite procedure is your next one?
My next procedure. When I first moved to LA, because I happened to work in an environment. I worked for a hospital, St. Elizabeth Health Center, for 5 years. And I didn't have to worry about money because I have a standard paycheck, whether I showed up or did not show up. But of course, I showed up so many times they loved me. And when I left, they had to, I cried, they cried, the CEO of the hospital cried, and we both sitting there, 2 men crying because I felt like I was abandoning them. I was the only plastic surgeon who knew how to do complex reconstruction in a town of 100,000 people. But so when I was there, I had my favorite procedure. I just like to operate. So I moved to LA and I'm asking this guy, what's your favorite procedure? He said, my next procedure. It didn't ring a bell to me. I said, what do you mean? He said, every time I have a patient, I'm happy because it means money in my bank. But if it wasn't for money, there are certain procedures I don't like. I love breast reduction, but for large breast reduction, it's just so tedious. But you stand up for 3-4 hours, your back is hurting. Some of the quick ones, breast augmentation, 45 minutes in and out. And you make more money doing a breast augmentation than doing a breast reduction or a breast lift. Because the average breast lift would take me 3 hours. And I might make a little margin. Breast augmentation, I make a lot for 45 minutes of work. And then liposuction is one of my least favorite procedures. Because? It's too much work, too much mechanical.
Oh, really?
And if you want to do it right, and now I've got to a point that I have to charge more for liposuction because of my artistic abilities. Because, if you do liposuction for a fat person, it doesn't matter. You can just suck fat. But we live in Hollywood. We live in Beverly Hills where everybody is walking is like this big. And they come to you, oh, I want fat. You have to be very careful because if you're not careful, it can cause more problems, cause dimpling. You've seen all these tabloid magazines, people caught in the beach with wrinkles and ripplings in their stomach and their back. That's from bad liposuction. So liposuction, I told my manager we need to start charging more because even a skinny person lies on the table, it's still going to take me at least 2 hours.
Right. So you've got how many people in your team and in your?
My office, the front desk girl, Nicole. Her name is Linda, but I call her Nicole. So Nicole, Shannon, my patient coordinator, Cheryl, Oscar, Brenda, Eric, Lena. Now, 8 people, yeah.
Do you get a lot of African clients?
You know, I wouldn't say a lot, but we get a lot of a lot of the African royalty. It's not just African. Most of the
African royalty,
yeah, you know,
as in the wealthy and
most of the people who come from Africa, they relate to the presidents. Or, yeah, those are the people that we get quite often.
Would you do plastic surgery yourself?
Oh yeah, if I need it, yeah. I've contemplated about getting liposuction, but I always tell myself, you know, I'm cheating. I need to go to the gym, eat healthy. I don't eat all this meat, meat pie, but eat healthy. But I've thought about it. I even thought about getting Botox. I'm 45 now, and I think in a year or two I might stop. People think, the thing is, I try to stay healthy. I eat pretty much balanced diet. I drink lots of water. I drink maybe on occasional weekends, okay? And one thing that I'm not doing a lot like I used to is working out. I used to work out every day, and I had a lot of energy. But if I go back to my old self, I think I'll be okay. But yeah, definitely I'll get Botox, I think, and then I start to see lines here, so I might get a filler.
Side effects with Botox?
No, there are no side effects. Of course, if it goes into the wrong part, people have had like Botox and they stop breathing because of the fact that the person was not a qualified plastic surgeon. In the hands of plastic surgeon, the complications are very, very minuscule. Botox, yes, it can cause blindness. It can cause.
You did one of the most complicated procedures ever. Reattaching the fingers of the guy whose fingers got sawn off in an accident. And you reattach all of them.
20 hours.
20 hours.
Yeah. But see, that's one of those operations that, people call it your claim to fame. When you can reattach, not everybody can even reattach a finger. And I remember that day was
Can you raise your voice a little bit?
I remember that day. It was one summer afternoon in Boston. And I had just left the hospital and I got called in, 3 p.m. I came, I saw the patient, Jamaican guy, and he was building a cabinet for his wife, and he's not used to using saws. And he cut 4 fingers. He cut the thumb, the index, the middle, and the ring fingers. 3 p.m., I started surgery about 4 p.m. I went through the next day at 12:30 p.m. And the index finger was still not working. My boss came to tell me, you know what, Michael, you have to take care of yourself. Maybe you should go home. You've got 3 on, the 4th one is not working. The index finger is not that important. And that saved me, and that gave me a little break. So that day I had to cancel the rest of and actually that day I had 3 surgeries scheduled. I had to cancel all those surgeries. Went home, I couldn't even drive my car, I was so tired. I took a taxi. That time there was no Uber. So I took a taxi, went home. I went to bed about 2-3 p.m. I woke up the next day at 5 a.m. and went back to work. And then my second favorite operation was reattaching an arm.
And by the way, this guy's fingers work.
It works.
He subsequently he was playing basketball and everything.
Yeah, you're talking about the guy who reattached his arm.
Okay, all right.
He was an 18-year-old kid who was in a wood shop. So in America, they have wood shop classes where kids learn how to make, work with wood, carvings and things like that. One of the rules is not to have a long sleeve shirt. So first of all, he broke the rule. He wore a long sleeve shirt, and he was across the table from his partner. And his partner said something, so he was raising his hand to say whatever. 17-year-old kid. The mighty saw pulled the arm in and saw it in half. That took me 10 hours. That kid was cleared to play college soccer. He plays basketball. He can do push-ups on it. It took me 10 hours to reattach that arm. And he's doing fine. And actually the police called me one time and I said, thanks to you. As a little kid, he tried to steal somebody's tire. He said, thanks to you, he has 2 arms to steal a tire now. But yeah, he's doing good, yeah.
Did you always want to be a plastic surgeon?
No, when I was a kid, I idolized Dr. Asafo J.
Yes, but he wasn't a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, he wasn't. Until in 1985-86, actually 1987, Operation Smart came to Ghana. And I saw the wonders and the powers of plastic surgeon. Since that day onwards, I said, well, I want to be a plastic surgeon. Right. But at an early age, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. By maybe 9 or 10, 9 or 10, I wanted to be a doctor because I thought Dr. Asafo J had the coolest job. You get to see people, take care of them. And also, I hung out a lot with my grandmother who had high blood pressure. So at an early age, I would go and pluck leaves, avocado leaves. Ghana, we call it pear. You know, my grandmother used to boil it, and that helps with blood pressure. So I learned a lot of medicine from my grandmother. You know?
So does that work?
You know what? I don't know. The science, I wasn't. The science has not been done yet, but I think it works. Okay. I think it works because I've read something. This is not my own scientific experiment. The avocado, just by eating the fruit, it helps bring your blood pressure down. Okay. Because one of the things it does, it increases your HDL, which is your high density lipoprotein, which is the cholesterol, the bad cholesterol and good cholesterol. So it brings up your good cholesterol, which is good, and it protects your heart. So I think maybe the leaves work. My grandmother had it, but
couple of quick questions before we go. It's, you know, you've not always had it rosy, especially when you went to the United States. Your college years, having to share, you know, beds and mattresses. And
yeah, my first mattress came from the dumpster. You know, I always tell
basically, well, you know, a dumpster is basically the trash. The trash.
Boiler soup, yeah. You know, one day I was walking to school and I saw one, and me and my roommate. But you know, that's why I always say God has been good to me, because I just went to America with a dream, just a basic dream, and the dream has blossomed into something that I still can't fathom. You know, when I left here, I think the day I got on the plane, I had $140 in my pocket. You know, from contribution from family members. One of the things I always talk about, Mr. Darko Farms, he also helped me. He helped me a lot. You know, he took the $1,000 my uncle had given him for a ticket, because my uncle said, that's all I have. Mr. Darko said, give me the money and I'll buy the ticket. The ticket was about $13.40. And all I had was a dream and the passion to work hard. I said, I'm going to work harder than everybody. Yeah. Before I even got on the plane, I've envisioned in my head, I'm going to work 3 jobs. But you know, I forgot there's something called taxes. I said, I'm going to sleep 4 hours a day, just work 20 hours, save all my money, and go to school. But you know, it's through the acts of God and chosen people by God to help me, guide me along the way. And that's why I always.
And when your mom died, you couldn't afford to come.
Yeah, you know, that was a very sad part of my. To be the oldest child and your mother dies and you can't come home and bury your mother. You know, I couldn't have money to come back to Ghana until 9 years later. And that was the first time I saw my mom's burial. You know, of course, it brought tears to my eye, but I try not to focus on the past. I always tell people, I say, you know what, don't let your past define who you are. Right. Look at your dreams and your aspirations and look forward. Look into the future. Let the future guide you and forget the past.
Quick one. What would you change on my face?
You are a handsome man. You are perfect. I wouldn't change anything. You're a handsome man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My name is Sakyi-Addo. See you again next week. Good night.